It's time for the Spoony One! Wrestling Show! It's time for the Spoony One!
Well, this show could be a disaster. If I don't look that good, it's kind of deceptive because I feel really good. I slept for like 8 hours, which is something I rarely do. But I also rarely record immediately after getting up, and I'm always kind of loopy after getting up, so I don't know if this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing that I'm reviewing Impact. Because I saw it last night, and when it was over, I just went, I'm too fucking tired to dive into this one. So I printed my notes up by this point upstairs and went to sleep. And I'm actually kind of glad that Impact came along because it provides an excellent counterpoint to my argument that Raw did everything it needed to do to sensibly book the pay-per-view coming up, SummerSlam, with the 7-on-7 elimination match. Everything built towards that goal, and it worked. Impact, on the other hand, not a single thing was booked properly, and I'm gonna keep saying the words. I'm gonna come back to that because when I get to the cage match, I'll finally bring all the pieces together. And okay, so Tommy Dreamer starts off in the ring, and for like shocking me, he's not weeping openly, and I'm not gonna say anything more about how pathetic the ECW thing is, other than the fact that I finally managed to put into a sentence, like, my thoughts on it. And that, you know, ECW used to be the Revolution. And now the Revolution has been reduced to a weeping, broken down man on his knees in the middle of a TNA ring begging Dixie Carter for one more chance. And palling around arm in arm with Hulk Hogan. That's the Revolution, guys. That's what it's become. People who think they're chanting ECW because it's edgy or cool, real fans of ECW who think that, you know, like real fans of ECW don't really think it's coming back. They know it's long dead because the real fans aren't there anymore. They're not in the fucking Impact Zone. They can recognize new and edgy wrestling, and they know that Impact is nowhere close to it being it. Real ECW fans, when they see Raven chant Johnny Polo. I'm just saying, if you don't know who Johnny Polo is, you're not a fucking ECW fan. End of line, okay? So, Tommy gets in the ring, somehow avoids crying, and says that due to certain legal problems with certain letters of the alphabet, ECW, they are going to change their name to EV 2.0, and I wrote down, yeah, I'm sure people are going to get right to chanting that, and God bless the Impact Zone, like 10 people did. EV 2.0. Fail. Then Tommy asked Devon what the hell's up with Bubba, because he's not playing ball with the whole EV 2.0 thing. I'm just going to say ECW because it sucks. Bubba comes out looking pissed off, and Tommy says, it's all for the fans. There's no politics here. It's just like Kiss putting the makeup on and getting back together again. And I immediately... It's not like Kiss getting back together again. And a lot of people would say that Kiss should never get back together again. Because, like ECW, Kiss has well and truly and forever sold out. I wrote, Raven looks like fucking old Batman in The Dark Knight Strikes Back. Remember how, like, Bruce Wayne was all old and haggard and, like, had the slick-backed white hair and was, like, looking all wretched and kind of hunched over? Raven looks terrible. Foley says that one day Bubba's going to look back on this event and forever regret that he didn't do this one thing. And one day Devon's going to look back at his career and forever regret the one thing he did do was Reverend Devon. No, he didn't really say that. I said that. Hogan comes down and basically kisses their asses for like 5 minutes. And you can probably hear my washing machine in the background. Sorry about that. Abyss hits the ramp and says they are fucking pissed. I thought they was ECW. Clearly I was mistaken, but I still don't really care who they is. washing machine. Here, I'm going to change venues here. Hang on a second. Okay, maybe not a whole lot better, but I'm working on it. This is crack reporting right here. Gotta move because the washing machine's going off. But yeah, Abyss comes out. He's like, they don't like this. They don't like it at all. And he holds Dixie Carter personally responsible. And of course, they cut to Dixie in the crowd, looking completely vapid this whole time. This woman, she is such a horrible actor. I remember saying at one time she said she never wanted to be a character on television. I think she knows why. I really do. Because she knows she like, you might as well just take a Xerox copy of her one expression and just, like, tape it to a stick and have that in the front row. Because Dixie, her main expression, I don't even know if I can replicate it because it's kind of genius. Hang on a second, let me raise the thing here. It's kind of genius because she kind of has this somewhat amused and disbelieving look on her face where she's just kind of like, I don't even know if I'm doing it. She's just like, it's so weird because every time they cut to her, no matter what is transpiring, it's just like, seriously, if you want to know what it is, just look at her Facebook page because every photo of hers is like, I saw I was smiling too much. It's less of a, it's kind of a Mona Lisa type smile where she's just like, I don't know. Okay. But like, you'll see it if you don't know what it is. You'll see it because every fucking time they cut to her, she's. So Abyss is like threatening Dixie and says that they've given him orders to take Tommy out, and and Hogan's like, let me tell you something, brother. Tommy Dreamer's not wrestling. He's not wrestling till Hardcore Justice. And Tommy's like, whoa. I'm a man here. I'm gonna fight Abyss tonight. I'm gonna get back to this because this was stupid. The beautiful people are still bitching at each other. I am physically and mentally incapable of even mentally processing anything these people are saying anymore because it's just like if you went into a hen house and it was like, it's just like for 5 minutes I'm just sitting there like glassy-eyed like, I don't care. It's so bad. Yeah, I can't. This is gonna sound really bad because my like the only thing I can mentally process out of the stupidity of this angle, out of the entire stupidity surrounding the beautiful people mystery biker chick storyline, my mind goes as primitive as it can in an attempt to find reason and stability in this stupid fucking angle. And this is gonna make me sound really bad, but all I really care about anymore is these chicks shaking their asses. And I know, it makes me sound like such a fucking pig, but let's not lie here. Let's not deceive ourselves here. This is why, the only reason why these women got hired, because it sure as fuck ain't for their wrestling talent, and it sure as hell ain't for their acting ability. And so, when you put them in a ring and then put them in 10-minute backstage segments where they try to act, so, is it really that unreasonable for me to just kind of mentally regress to a state where I'm like, can they show their boobies now and like flop around? I don't think so. So, they do Angelina Love versus Sarita in a #1 contenders match for the Knockouts title. I'm just going to read my notes, and this is probably really bad video for me just to read my notes directly, but sometimes I just write stuff, stream of consciousness, and I think maybe if I read it, it'll help you understand the thought processes that went through my mind as I experienced these atrocities of matches. Pardon me. I wrote, Angelina Love versus Sarita, dash. Angelina looks like a pirate hooker. Sarita's ass is amazing. Taz still hasn't ruled out the mystery biker chick might be, quote, an oddly shaped man. Angelina is out of position for every single move. I made a sandwich. Angelina won. This was so horribly bad. And yet, it was a better match than most WWE women's wrestling. Just throwing that one out there. And I will rarely say that about TNA. Oh God. This is what made me want to sleep and just never wake up. If you've seen it, you know what's coming next. Because I'll just say it. Wrestle crap. I hope you're watching. I hope somebody at Wrestle Crap was watching this, because you are watching right now history being made. You're watching the next Gooker Award. You're watching what amounts to a really good wrestler just being crumpled up, his dignity well and forever truly being like just crumpled like a Dixie cup and thrown in the toilet. And then we put a camera on the Dixie cup as we flush it and just watch it slowly circle, turn smaller and smaller, and finally just disappearing. Eric Young is backstage, and he's doing this thing where he's acting like a complete raving retard, where he's like putting things on his head and saying, "I'm a spaceman with a helmet, whee! Pizza, 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 yeah!" You think, no, that's what he's doing. The story is, and it's a good thing they recapped this, because nobody in the fucking world saw Explosion. Hell, even if you're watching this, I'm guessing that 3/4 of you don't even know what Explosion is. Explosion is the TNA Impact B show. It's like the Sunday Night Heat of Impact. So, if you don't know, Eric had a match against Suicide, I think, where he's going for like a top rope move. Suicide kicks him in the head and he falls out of the ring. And he got kicked in the head so hard that he is now brain damaged. And he's acting insane because of it. Because, you know, hey kids, concussions are hilarious. Okay, is it even worth trying to bring in logic to this angle? Should I try? Should I attempt to ask what doctor would clear a man who is clearly brain damaged from competing in the ring? This is probably the most humiliating thing Eric will ever attempt, and that's including the Super Eric gimmick. That was funny. It was funnier. And now you're hearing my air conditioner go off. This is good stuff. I'm going to get up and turn it off in a second. I don't even know if I can recreate for you the human, because you're like, oh, he's acting kind of goofy, like he's funny. No, he's not. He starts claiming he's a spaceman. He starts wearing things on his head, and he starts playing with backstage stuff like they were dolls. And Orlando Jordan comes down. And when Orlando Jordan is the straight man... See what I did there? When Orlando Jordan is the sensible, rational guy who is shaking his head at your gimmick... future endeavors? But I know that won't happen to Eric. So... Alright. They have a match. It's Orlando Jordan and Eric Young against Inc. Orlando Jordan comes out doing his thing, his very, very gay thing, or at least his bisexual thing, where he comes down chewing on a piece of, like, pink Laffy Taffy. And he's like, and he calls SoCal Val out, and she's at ringside, and he stuffs the Laffy Taffy that he's had in his mouth in her mouth. And we're like, that's lovely. He goes in the ring. Then Eric comes out, and Eric comes out dragging a mannequin behind him wearing a pink feather boa. Eric Young comes out carrying a mannequin, wearing a feather boa. I started to write words. I wrote, "Oh God. Oh no. A mannequin? Question mark, question mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark. Please tell me this isn't happening." Perry Saturn had more dignity when he was carrying around a mop. I cared when the mop got thrown into a wood chipper. Oh, God. This is what happens when the writers backstage officially have no idea what to do with you, Eric. I'm serious. They're completely out of ideas for you. They've done everything. They've done you as the Frady Cat character. They've done you as a guy who thinks he's a superhero ripping off the Hurricane. They've done you as the comedy character who inexplicably becomes a badass. They've done the gimmick where people think you've reformed yourself and become an honorable good guy and joined the NWO. And they've now decided that they're going to revert you back to the retard gimmick by getting you kicked in the head so hard you've gone goofy. And if you think I'm obsessing about this, it's because this is the kind of stuff that ruins wrestlers forever. And it's happening now. Gets worse. Gets a lot worse. Orlando tries to tag in Eric. Somehow the mannequin gets between Orlando and Eric, so Orlando tags the dummy. Eric throws the dummy into the ring, which shatters immediately. Eric refuses to enter the ring, saying, "I'm not the legal man." Ink beats up Orlando and pins him. Eric runs into the ring and sees that his mannequin has been destroyed. And then he throws his hands in the X pattern, calling for help backstage. You know, I'm trying to think of stuff to say that's funny, and this is maybe why I don't do this stuff that early in the morning, because this is what this is actually happening. This is occurring on TV. Spike is airing this. Someone wrote this. Other people thought it was funny, and that person got paid to write this. People are getting paid to create this. Let that soak in for a second, because this is the kind of stuff that passes through my mind when I see Impact. This is awful. And somehow this has a national TV contract. This is on Spike. This is showing, like, this is a major network, and this is showing on a major Flair says he's a wrestling god and he's a genius because every match he has a rematch clause. So next week he has a match against Jay Lethal, and it's not gonna be hardcore. It's gonna be a street fight. Woo! I'm gonna get back to this. Flair introduces the next two members of Fortune. It's Beer Money. Was this supposed to be a surprise? Because it was pretty obvious from the beginning who Fortune was gonna be when he first announced Fortune. But like at the time he says, like, I'm not gonna tell you who Fortune's gonna be because it might not be who you think. It turns out it was exactly who we thought. It was Kaz and AJ and Beer Money. So they talked forever, and AJ finally gets the stick, and he says, I have the global title, but the global title is stupid. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, I started writing this. So he said, I'm going to start defending this title with honor, but honor and this shit isn't what drives the wrestling business. Ratings drive the business, and TV drives the business. So from henceforth, this will be the television title. And amazingly enough, I didn't have a problem with this. Except for the fact this is now the probably the third name the Legends title has had. As I said, at least it makes slightly more sense now. Kurt comes out and says that AJ's next. Does that mean that it'll probably be a non-title match, I imagine, because I can't imagine Kurt having the TV title. I don't know. Here's where I kind of lost my mind. Motor City Machine Guns versus Beer Money in a cage match. Because every one of these matches in the Best of 7 series has to have a stupid stipulation to it or a gimmick. So this is the cage match. Okay. Robert Roode gets busted open within like the first minute. When the machine guns come out and they're running wild, they're going crazy because they sneak over the back end of the cage and they surprise Beer Money when they're expecting them to come down the ramp, and the machine guns are beating the shit out of them. Pardon me, and they're beating the shit out of them. Like it's just they totally Pearl Harbored these guys. So it's crazy. Robert Roode gets busted open. He gets busted like he's fucking bleeding all over the place. And this is where... No, actually, I'll in a second. So, this goes on for like 5 minutes where they're throwing Beer Money into the cage. They're in their fucking double team moves. They're beating the shit out of them. And then, there must have been like a commercial break or something. I don't remember. But the next thing I know, after like 5 minutes of just brawling all over the place, they retreat to the corners, and they start to tag in and out. It's a cage match! It's a no disqualification cage match that you win by pinfall submission or escape from the cage. Why are they tagging? Okay. I kept saying I was gonna come back to this. Here's where I come back to it. There are ways. Let me put this as an exercise to you. Okay, you've got a pay-per-view coming up, and it's One Night Stand, and you're trying to bring back ECW for one night, and you're trying to make it so people will pay for it. Okay, you do this by, it's basically like you're cock teasing them. Okay, you're teasing them with what they're gonna see on the pay-per-view that they can't see on your normal TV show. Okay? Do you follow that? Do you follow that logic? So, like, if you book, let me do something simple. If you're gonna book John Cena versus Randy Orton on a pay-per-view, or we're doing Sheamus. You're gonna do Sheamus versus Randy Orton on the pay-per-view. What's the one thing you don't do on free TV? You don't book Sheamus versus Randy Orton the week before on free TV, because if they see it on free TV, they have no reason to pay to see it on pay-per-view. I'm trying to lead you along here because It's simple stuff, but if you've never actually tried to see how a pay-per-view's built, you might not know this. Okay, so back to my original thesis. You're trying to book a show called Hardcore Justice, ECW One Night Stand, where you're bringing back the ECW guys, you're bringing them back to do hardcore matches. Okay? Matches they don't normally see, with matches with people that are not normally on TNA TV. Okay, so you've got new gimmicks, new matches, new wrestlers. Here's what you don't do. You don't put Tommy Dreamer, the one guy, by the way, who has never wrestled on TNA television, you don't put him in a weapons match against Abyss. Why? Because it's an ECW guy wrestling for free in a hardcore match against your biggest heel right now in the main event of Impact. Okay, so you've given away Tommy now. You've given away a hardcore match. Here's another thing you don't do. You don't do a cage match. You don't make people tag in a cage match. And you don't have a guy bleed profusely on free TV when the gimmick for your pay-per-view is extreme weapons matches where guys get busted open. Because you want to save that for the pay-per-view. If I'm watching a cage match, if I'm watching a weapons match where people are freely and openly bleeding profusely on TV, what are you going to do on pay-per-view that I ain't seen on Impact? Do you see what I'm getting at here? I got more. So they start tagging. Sabin does a crossbody off the top of the cage instead of just climbing down the other side and winning the match because he's a fucking idiot. Machine Guns win. They did shenanigans with the beer bottle again, and of course Rude is bleeding just fucking like crazy. Oh, here's another thing you don't do. You don't do on free TV Ric Flair versus Jay Lethal in a street fight. Why? Because a street fight is a hardcore match, and you're giving away another hardcore match on TV. This is simple, guys. You've got a pay-per-view of hardcore matches. Don't do hardcore matches on TV. God damn it. Oh, this took forever, too. Matt Morgan comes out to Mr. Anderson's music, pretending like he's Anderson with the microphone and shit, where he, like, throws his hand up and the microphone doesn't come down, and he's like, he starts yelling at whoever's low in them. He's like, lower the fucking microphone! And so the microphone finally, like, it staggers down, and he starts doing this thing where he's like, I'm introducing a guy who weighs 400 pounds, and stuff like that. Anderson comes out and he summons a second microphone because he's Anderson and he can summon a microphone anywhere. In fact, I didn't see this angle, but I seem to remember he did something where he was like outside, and like I know he was backstage and he threw his hand up and the microphone came down backstage, but he's like, I'm pretty sure they did a thing where like he's at a laundromat and like somebody asked him, aren't you Mr. Anderson? He's like, you're not saying it right, and he throws his hand up in the laundromat and like a microphone. And he's like, Mister! That was funnier than what they did here. Yeah. So they do this thing where Morgan's trying to parody Anderson, and Morgan starts to taunt Mr. Anderson. He's like, "Oh, you got nothing, man. You like, I'm not afraid of you, or you're afraid of me." And he's like, "You know what? Take your best shot, pal." He's like you get one shot, like do it, like hit me. Take your one best shot, Anderson. And Anderson, he's like, I so wanna do it. And Morgan's like, you don't got the stones. And he's like, all right. And so he drops down like Johnny Cage and like punches him in the balls. And people are like, Anderson, yay! Because that's what faces do. And our good guy, well, he's an asshole. So like, okay, let's just roll with the premise that he's an asshole. So he punches Morgan in the balls. Morgan's like, poof. He falls down. Anderson starts beating the shit out of him. And then, somehow, Matt Morgan, like, he only sells it for, like, 5 seconds. And then, like, Morgan, like, shoves the guy off. And then he starts beating up Anderson. Like, And then he takes the microphone cord and starts strangling Anderson, or Benoiting him, as the parlance is, as it goes. Pardon me. I get this Diet Pepsi. Give me gas. So he starts strangling Anderson, and I'm like, that's a great way to put over Mr. Anderson, guys. Even with a free, unblocked, open shot to the balls, he still can't beat Matt Morgan. So Jeff Hardy has to come save him. So they start beating up Matt Morgan, and then TNA Security runs into the ring. And then TNA Security starts beating the crap out of Anderson and Jeff Hardy. Like, throwing them around. Like, picking up Jeff and throwing him over the top rope. Like, get the fuck out! And then they start, like shoving Anderson and, like, punching him in the face. And I'm like, the fuck is going on here? And then the agents, like Al Snow, D'Lo Brown, come out, and they split up the security guards from the wrestlers. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So they go backstage, commercial break, they go backstage, and Anderson says, I know those guys. Those guys are Gunner and Murphy. Murphy and Gunner? He says, like, I know these guys. They've been trying to break into the wrestling business for 10 years, and the best they could do was a security guard job. And I'm like, that's great. This is good. Why are we watching this? And he's like, you know what? I want you guys in the ring, and bring Matt Morgan too. It's going to be a handicap match. Jeff and I are going to beat the shit out of these security guards. So that's exactly what happens. We get Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson against Matt Morgan and the TNA security guys. Are we that starved for talented wrestlers that we're just throwing random security guards in the ring now? And since when did TNA security turn heel? Are these guys going to be like a regular feature now? I don't think so. We're watching security guards wrestle. And you know what the funny thing is? They weren't that bad. As matches go, they were okay. I'm still turning over in my head the stupidity of this segment. Like, their gimmick... Okay, let's... If they're not debuting as wrestlers, as regular wrestlers from this point, this entire thing was a colossal waste of time. So, I'm going to wrongly assume that they have a plan. Let me just... I will assume for now that this is leading to the debut of the TNA Security Guys tag team, okay? This is wrong, but I'm going to roll with it. Okay, so their gimmick is they have tried and failed for 10 years to become successful professional wrestlers, settling instead for security guard jobs. And the only way they could get jobs was to attack wrestlers in the TNA ring. They weren't good enough to become wrestlers. Jeff Hardy and Anderson win. Bischoff comes out and promptly sticks his head right up Dixie's ass, saying, like, every idea she has is brilliant. She inspires me. She's led me to come up with new ideas that change wrestling forever. And yeah, he's saying these things. And Dixie, once again, they cut to her like 3-4 times, and she's just like, and so he talks about how he's been talking to Spike TV executives to bring pay-per-view quality matches to TV on August 12th. So we're actually going to have wrestling worth watching on August 12th? Like, I don't really know what he's saying here. He kept saying, like, August 12th is going to be big. It's going to be like a pay-per-view on August 12th. Like, what is that saying? that you might actually want to see the wrestling that occurs on August 12th? Unlike the stuff that's currently happening? Do you see the implication here? Abyss interrupts and says they want him to book the main event. And it's going to be him and Rob Van Dam with his stick with nails in it hung above the ring. And this whole time he's threatening Eric with the stick. So Eric, of course, agrees to anything the 8-foot-tall maniac with the nails in his board says. He says, yeah, it's a great idea. You could have a Rob Van Dam and a stick on a pole match all night long if you want. And Abyss is like, you're a smart guy. But you know what wasn't smart was when you bitch slapped me, and now I'm going to bitch slap you with this fucking stick. And I wrote, why can he not call for security and have this dumbass fired? He's threatening you with an imminently lethal weapon. RVD comes out to attack him and makes the save. Abyss beats RVD up because we can't have our champion look strong. And he turns around and sees Dixie. And Dixie's like... So Abyss is like, you bitch. And like Abyss starts to chase her through the crowd. And so Dixie runs away and she's like... she's being chased by this caveman with a stick. And she can't even muster up like a fearful expression. She's just like... And I wrote, didn't she suspend Sting for doing far, far less bad stuff? Like, couldn't she just go like, that's great, Abyss. I can see you're really crazy right now. You're fired. Are they happy about that? Or did she invite Abyss to attack her with a... I don't fucking know. Okay. Somehow the road agents, like D'Lo Brown and Al Snow, managed to separate things yet again. And Tommy Dreamer comes out for his weapons match. Hey, here's what you don't do for your pay-per-view. Tommy in a weapons match on free TV. So, it's your typical... You know when WWE was doing this very typical like everyone hits each other with everything, including the kitchen sink type match? That's exactly what this is. Like, we haven't seen this type of match in a long time, but there's a reason for that. It's because it's crap. So these guys, they run around and they hit each other in the head with everything, with a kendo stick, with a cookie sheet, with a smaller cookie sheet, with a chair, with a garbage can, with a garbage can lid, and they just kind of take turns hitting each other as hard as they fucking can with these things. Until finally, Tommy gets a garbage can punched back in his face. He gets choke slammed on a barbed wire board. Something else you should have saved for the pay-per-view. 1, 2, 3. Abyss wins. So, Abyss goes to get his stick, and he's going to beat up Tommy. Grandpa Raven comes down with a chair, and then, shocker of shockers, Raven turns on Tommy and starts beating him up with the chair and hitting a DDT on the chair. Because Tommy's been such a good guy up to this point, it stuns me he would be a bad guy. And that's how we go off the air, with ECW being completely ruined. Like, we've seen a cage match, we've seen a hardcore match. We're gonna see a weapons match on a pole. We're gonna see the extreme match with RVD, a ladder, and a stick with nails in it, hung over the ring. We're going to see that on free TV. It's not going to be on Hardcore Justice. So, remind me again what we're seeing at Hardcore Justice that we're not going to see twice, 2 weeks in a row, on free TV. Dixie. This isn't tricky. It's not. You save what's on the pay-per-view, and you tease it. You don't give it away, you tease it. You show them hardcore wrestling. You show them bits of it. You show these guys getting jumped backstage with weapons and then security immediately pulling them apart and saying, wow, if this is the kind of stuff they're capable of now, Just wait till we turn them loose at Hardcore Justice. But you show glimpses of it. You show a minute of it, and then you stop it. Because we can't have that on our professional wrestling program. It's too extreme for TV. This is what you say. You don't have people profusely bleeding on free TV. You promise that people will be profusely bleeding at the pay-per-view. So people will pay to see the gratuitous, bloody violence. That's all I got. You know, I just wonder who gets paid for stuff like this, because I'm not saying that I could do this. You know what? I could do this. But you would never pay me to do this, because I'm just a normal guy. I'm not an idiot. You know, like, someone who's not an idiot could do this. Anyone who's not an idiot could tell this very simple story. Anyone who's not an idiot could set up this simple framework, tell the wrestlers this is what's going to happen, and trust the wrestlers who are smarter than this to tell the story for you. I'm not a brilliant man by any means. So, like, you could hire a brilliant man. There are people who do this very well. Vince Russo ain't one of them. Like I said, there are very good reasons that WCW and ECW failed. And in WCW's case, Vince Russo was a big one. Anyway, I've been bitching for probably an hour now. So, that was Impact. It sucked. I hope you enjoyed the sound of my air conditioner and washing machine. They guest starred. Until next time, guys. It's only going to go downhill from here.